The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
It's a Monday morning at 11 o'clock, and there are football players on a football field at the Star in Frisco. And this is Mick Shots minus the great Everson Walls. We're going to try to make do for the next hour here inside the SWBC podcast studio. And there is a reason that Savannah has a huge smile on her face this Victory Monday for her Dallas Stars.
Well, we're advancing to round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Mickey and I were both at the game last night.
You were both at the game last night.
Very happy.
Absolutely.
All right.
Very happy.
Yes.
Yes, it was down to the wire. Game 7, and in the third period, Radek Faksa came back, scored the goal, the game-winning goal, and here we are, round 2.
Yep.
I didn't think anything could beat the Game 7 with Boston the other night.
That was a great game.
When it went overtime, and I'm going, wow. And then it was heading towards overtime again, and I'm going, oh, no. And Faksa came through after not playing in games, 3, 4, 5,
He left
and
game
6.
2, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That
was his first ever Game 7 goal, so big night for him.
biggest goal of his life.
Yes.
And now the Stars move on to the second round, and the Mavericks have moved on to the second round. And I have a proposal. I would like to I'll volunteer my services to be the commissioner of sports.
Please do. We need it. There's a lot
Could
of
you
Dallas
straighten
We
sports.
it out,
need a
Bill?
commissioner of sports who has the interest of all sports fans in mind, when for only the third time in 30 years, you have a basketball team and a hockey team from the same market. And they, for the third time in 30 years, they both advanced to the second round of the playoffs. And you schedule their games at exactly the same time in the second round of the playoffs.
And the same day.
Same day,
Lovely
same
for
time.
us.
It's Tuesday, it's Thursday for games 1 and 2 at 8:30. The Mavs in Oklahoma City, the Stars at home against Colorado. And then they play on the same day on on Saturday, and then again on Monday, and next Wednesday if it goes to 5 games.
Darn
Right.
Mavs, they needed to get the 4th seed. What would have happened? They were both at
Would
home.
the NFL do that?
No.
No, that's right.
Speaking of which, the NFL schedule is set to be released this week, so we will know a little bit more.
So if it comes out on Wednesday, then the Stars and the Mavericks will both take a back seat. Their second round playoff game will take a back seat on CBS 11 Sports to the NFL schedule coming out.
The games are Tuesday.
Thursday. No, I'm sorry. If it comes out on Thursday, then it'll take a back seat to the.
Yes.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
Okay, Thursday's the day, you say. That's what you're thinking.
Thinking.
Okay,
Thinking it's May 9th, something around there.
that would be Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you better.
Okay, so Thursday you watch, and we will have NFL the Cowboys schedule.
Yeah, but the
ahead
other
of-
games won't be over, so you have.
That's
nothing
right,
to
and so that's
talk
one
about.
of the reasons that we will, since the other games will be in progress at 10 o'clock, I can start with Cowboys.
There you go, Bill.
And then
You got
get
it all set
ridiculed
up.
by my friends who say, "How come you always lead with the Cowboys when it's May?"
I wonder if the Rangers are playing that day too.
I think they are off that day actually. But anyway,
when they go to
we
Oakland.
digress.
Well, how about that, by the way? So the Rangers take 2 out of 3 over the weekend. The Stars advance, the Mavs advance, and the Arlington Wings won their exhibition game.
They're called
There
the
you
Dallas
go.
Oh,
Wings.
they're Dallas Wings?
They are the
Okay.
Dallas Wings. They
it's
play
the
in Arlington.
Renegades.
It's the
Yeah.
Arlington Renegades, and they are now 0-6 on the season.
0-6 already?
Going to fire the head coach?
Oh, no.
After a championship season last year.
Big Game Bob isn't looking too good right now, is he?
He's lost. Big Game Bob has lost on last-minute field goals in virtually every game this season, I think. Yeah. But he still gets paid the same amount of money. So
Sounds
even though there were 7,000 people in the stands at Ford Field in Detroit yesterday for the Renegade,
Oh, really?
an announced
7,000?
an
That's pretty
announced
decent.
well, it was an announced crowd of 7,000 at Ford Field.
So, since you brought up the schedule, I was kind of looking at the opponents. We knew the opponents, right? We've already
Can you review
talked about
us
them.
on the opponents?
I can.
For those of us who can't remember.
The Cowboys' home opponents will be their 3 NFC East foes.
I got that down.
They're also playing the NFC South, so that'll be New Orleans and Tampa Bay. They play the winner of the NFC North, which is Detroit. They play the AFC North, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and their extra game is Houston.
So these are the home games?
games.
Okay.
So they got one extra home game this year.
Okay, run through them one more time.
Washington, New York, Philadelphia.
Okay, Washington, New York, Philadelphia. I'm just thinking quarterbacks coming in here. So
Okay.
you got Jaden Daniels coming in, and then the incumbents.
Which was pretty funny since you brought up Jaden Daniels. NFL Network, no, NFL.com picked 10 games to watch. Number 7 was the Cowboys Washington because they're going to be playing Jaden Daniels in the first time in the big rivalry, along with Armstrong, Fowler, and Biotish. They failed to mention that the head coach was the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys.
Oh, they forgot that part?
They forgot
Yeah.
that part,
Dan
right?
Quinn, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most significant part of that equation.
Yeah. who intimately knows this Cowboys defense and probably everything he needs to know about the offense. So
Yeah,
anyway,
okay, so do you think that Quinn will have a greater impact on the Washington franchise, or will it be Biotish, Armstrong, or Fowler?
I'm going to go with Quinn.
I'm going to go with Quinn. Too. All
I
right,
could agree with that. you
continue on.
guys.
Okay. The away games, same.
Now, I want the rest of the home games because I
didn't
want to purchase my
the
tickets
quarterbacks.
for the home games because I want to
Okay.
run through the quarterbacks.
So
coming
Got
you
the
said
NFC East.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, right. Okay.
New Orleans,
Okay.
not so much, huh? Tampa
You got
Bay,
Derek Carr coming in again.
You wanna
got
see your
Tampa Bay. You
Tampa
got
Bay
Baker
guy.
Mayfield coming in.
right?
Okay.
Detroit,
Okay. You got Jared Goff coming in.
Baltimore.
I'm looking for new quarterbacks.
Baltimore
You got
home,
Lamar
okay.
Jackson coming in.
Cincinnati,
You got Joe Burrow coming in.
and Houston.
And you got C.J. Stroud
Somewhat-
coming in.
somewhat.
Okay.
Those
so
are good home games.
Are they?
Well, I mean, we still have
We
to
want-
look.
we want
still
to
have
win
to
our
look
home
back.
games.
Right,
Interesting
correct,
home
correct, correct. However, can we just recall the fact that we had so many home game wins in a row, and it was obviously the Green Bay loss that was our last one. But let's not
It's a home team.
discredit the home field advantage that the Cowboys have.
So, but anyway, you have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud,
Goff,
Jared Goff. There's another Pro Bowl type
Mayfield.
quarterback, Mayfield and Carr, and then
Hurts
Jaden
and
Daniels.
Daniels.
Hurts coming in. So
You don't want to throw in Daniel
Daniel
Jones.
Jones. Okay,
All right. Away games.
away games.
At, obviously, the 3
Okay,
NFC
we got that out of the
East.
way. Okay,
San Francisco,
okay, playing at Purdy,
Atlanta,
Atlanta. Okay, Cousins,
Cousins, you think?
or will it be
Penix?
Carolina,
Okay, you got the top pick in the draft last year,
Pittsburgh,
and Russell Wilson,
yeah, and Cleveland.
and well, it won't be Watson, so it's
Right,
because he never plays.
right. So,
So, would you rather have those for as far as this? Now, as far as selling tickets, that's a high profile list of quarterbacks coming in here. But would you rather play the less high profile, the lower profile quarterbacks for home games? It kind of evens out the home field advantage there. If you got quarterbacks coming in here.
I think they're tough
can
on
score
both
a lot of
sides.
points.
All I know
Home or away, it's going to be
is
Yeah,
with the
but
quarterbacks.
you got that home field advantage that gets negated sometimes when
they've got
I
to
thought they've
play.
beaten Burrow here at home before.
Yeah, they've got to play
Jared
11
Goff. Yeah.
play 11 games against teams with winning records from 2023. 11. 9 games against playoff teams from 2023, and 3 of the 4 conference championship games, teams that participated in the championship games. So, and it was just their luck this year to have to play the AFC North when all 4 teams had winning records. So they will have one of the toughest opponent records going into this coming season. So that'll all be pointed out when the schedule comes out. But
it can be pointed out now, and I'm looking at one website which says strength of schedule as the Cowboys at 22nd.
No, that's got to be last year.
No, it's 2024 NFL strength of schedule.
22nd.
Well, I guess there's a bunch of teams.
I'm sorry. The hardest is 32. So this is based on week. So they're basically top 11.
Right.
Hardest schedule, which makes sense.
And what happened was because they got to play twice against Washington and Giants, it pulled their strength of schedule.
That's the thing.
Down.
The easiest last year because they were having all the NFC East teams coming off bad seasons, whatever, which is why it's ludicrous.
And they got to play Atlanta and Carolina.
The whole strength of schedule thing is.
They had bad. Yeah, because it's not what the team is now.
Right.
It was what it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, be prepared for that to be fit into the local sports scene this week.
And then as I mentioned off the top, we have football players on a football field. This starts the second week that the Cowboy coaches are allowed to be out on the field.
And they're out there.
And they are. And so my question as I walk down the hallway to the SWBC podcast studio for Mick Shots, brought to you by Miller Lite, was I wonder when the rookies get here.
So this weekend, right?
Rookie minicamp.
That's setting y'all up
Friday,
to
Saturday.
tell us.
They probably get here.
Here you go, Mickey.
We have rookie minicamp
Savannah,
here
why
at
don't
the
you fill
Star.
us in?
Yes, rookie
Okay.
minicamp. Friday, Saturday here at the Star. Get some of those rookies in. They're going to start testing out their skill sets and putting in a little bit of work. And you know what? I will say, I wanted to mention, over at the Sports Academy next door here at the Star, I had realized that they have a big O-line. It's called O-line Masterminds Training.
Sure.
Cooper Beebe was one of those guys that was training under that program. And then last week, Tyler Guyton was in there already starting a couple workouts with those trainers on that side. So,
are you able to go in there and spy on their workouts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. However, they've posted a few videos of the guys. So those are online.
So all those guys will come into town on Thursday, take their physicals, and then have, 20-some guys on the field on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, they're here. It's not open to the media. But it's not like they're going to go out there and play football because they don't have enough people to man every position and go 11 on 11. So it's turned into a half hour or so on the field and a lot of meetings.
Is it more getting acclimated with coaching staff?
Yes.
It's the whole, it's basically rookie orientation time.
Back in the day, they actually went out there and did like the essence of a veteran mini camp. They went at it, and guys were out of shape because they're all getting ready for the draft, right? So they're not really practicing football.
Right.
And then they would come here, and it'd be 90 degrees with 70% humidity, and people would get sick on the field.
It's freshman orientation. That's what it is.
So
Good.
they
We need
Mickey,
one
do
of
you
those.
remember freshman orientation
Yes, I
at
do.
Missouri?
I do.
Was it harder then, you think, for freshman orientation than what it is now for incoming freshmen at colleges across the?
I bet it's the same. What do you think? We had to start picking classes during freshman orientation.
See, it was harder then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
You couldn't do it online back then,
No,
right?
no.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
person.
true. It's easier now. You can just do it
I
online.
mean, you had to
could
sit
switch it if you need to. All the things.
Yeah.
You had to get in line and go to each
You had to
desk to get a card.
That's right. You had a hard copy of it.
Seriously.
So it was a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're
Kids
a
today, they have
freshman
it
and
so easy.
you don't know which classes you should take and shouldn't take, right?
So you actually had to go to class. You couldn't take them online back then.
Aren't you clever? And there was no recording of the lecture either, by the way.
You had to take your own tests?
You had to take your own notes.
Hence why Mickey always has a legal pad with him.
That's right.
He's used to taking the notes.
That's right. Well, okay. So even though they're not doing much, okay, which rookies in this class would you be most interested in seeing for yourself up close and personal and talking to and getting to know?
So after hearing their interviews after the draft, reading about them, I wrote on Friday my favorite player without having really seen him actually play.
Did we discuss this last week?
Although
did we know this already?
I did see him play. I just didn't know he was in the game. When Missouri beat Kansas
Oh, yeah.
on a walk-off field goal.
By that pudgy kicker.
That's right. Cooper Beebe was playing left guard for the Wildcats. And I'll be interested to see.
See, if we would have known then what we know now about the Kansas State offensive line and the Missouri defensive line,
Right.
we could have looked at that whenever Darius Robinson, the first-round draft pick of the Arizona Cardinals, lined up over Cooper Beebe, we would have gotten a big green notebook preview of the draft.
And
That's why we need to spend our
should have gone
summer.
back to that
We
film.
need to spend our summer studying the college prospects,
I
so
did
that
see
college football
highlights.
season would be much more enjoyable for us.
I did see highlights of BB against Oklahoma, by the way, and against Texas.
Yeah, and now Texas was
had two guys that got drafted, right? First and second round.
yes.
And he stood those guys up in pass protection. And then they had one from the year before, and the unsuspecting DeMarvion Overshone came in blitzing and got the living daylights knocked out of him by Cooper Beebe. So I'm thinking,
Isn't that funny?
he's not happy to see him in practice when they actually maybe once a week have contact.
Interesting.
Yes,
So Cooper Beebe is your guy.
Cooper Beebe. I want to see him.
Mick's man to watch.
I want to see if anybody gets put in the dirt.
Gets dirted by Cooper
That's
Beebe.
right. And if he can make, but to be serious though, if you know how the transition starts going to center. Mm-hmm. Because my understanding is that after practices, they had offensive linemen kind of playing at different positions.
I think the important thing to remember about most of these colleges, where you've got a guy like Cooper Beebe, who played a little bit of tackle, I think, as well in college, but mainly a guard. Okay, he had not played center, and I think a lot of times what you see with these colleges, and you see it with NFL teams too, it's the more athletic players will play guard or tackle, and you might have, especially in college, a smaller but cerebral type player who, when you're getting your top five offensive linemen on the field, the guy who is less athletic but who can make the line calls and so forth will play center. Just because Cooper Beebe did not play center, it may be because he was better served to play guard because he was more athletic than the other offensive linemen that Kansas State had. Doesn't mean he can't play center, but they probably had a lesser player who was playing center for them. and because to get your best 5 out there.
And as kind of smart as he is, I saw the interview and he was saying, well, I was having to make some of the line calls playing guard and recognize what everybody was doing. So like on Tuesday, so after we had our show last week, I get this text from Dave Campo, who's in Jacksonville.
Oh.
And Camp's doing analysis work for one of the radio stations there, so he kind of covers the Jaguars. And he texted me and said, Cooper Beebe is the best pick the Cowboys made. He's a beast. Have a great day. Then he came back with, I wanted him here in Jacksonville big time, but if not here, then Dallas. He's a big nasty, which is exactly what Jacksonville doesn't have. So for what it's worth, the former Cowboy head coach and defensive coordinator analyzed Cooper Beebe.
He likes Cooper.
Knew about him. How about that?
That's great.
Very good. So a ringing endorsement there for Cooper Beebe. Now we find out about
what
the rest
about
of
you
these
guys? You guys.
Well, how about we do that when we come back?
All right.
Here on Mix Shots, brought to you by Miller Lite in just a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would never ask for your social security number on the phone? Beat scammers at their own game by subscribing to AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts and texts. At aarp.org/beatscammerstx, you can sign up to receive information that helps you recognize and avoid the latest scams. That's aarp.org/beatscammerstx.
To Mick Shots.
Country music is rocking the Star in Frisco with a free multi-day fan festival ahead of the big show. Come celebrate country music's Party of the Year at the ACM Country Kickoff May 14th and 15th. The fun starts each day at 3 p.m. with live performances from the newest country music stars, pop-up shops, exclusive artist merch, a beer garden, food trucks, and much more. Visit acmcountrykickoff.com for more info.
What's the dates again?
This is on May 14th and 15th, next week here at the Star.
Okay, so next week, big week. Wow.
Country music coming
That's
to
right.
the Star.
That's right.
Got anything to do with that?
You know what? I actually do not. I do not have
She's
anything
got her
to do with
hand
that
in
event.
everything else.
Maybe I'll come enjoy.
Let's see, the Stars
the
will be
event.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Monday, right? Monday will be game 4 on the
That'll
road,
be
though,
away in
at Colorado.
Yeah.
So next Wednesday.
Unless they sweep them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go, Bill. We'll see about that.
You're not confident?
You see all the
How
goals.
about how quickly the Stars have to get ready to play their next series? And
We just talked about
here,
it.
Colorado.
We understand why, though.
There's a concert at the AAC on Wednesday night.
Oh, okay.
And so with that scheduling conflict, this was the only slots that they could do for home.
But it seems like it's the NHL, more than any league that plays 7-game series, whether it be baseball or compared to basketball, they go as quickly as can be into the next round, and they don't care that Colorado's been sitting there for a week and hadn't played a game. And the Mavericks are in the same boat where, they played all the way they went to Friday. They could have gone to Sunday. Mm-hmm. But Oklahoma City, they got finished with their series back on last Monday or Tuesday. They'll be sitting there for 8 days, rested up for them. And Colorado's rested up for 7 or 8 days before they come here
the nature of the beast.
Play Tuesday night.
Hopefully they're stale.
That's a possibility. I mean,
they would have done it. Because when I looked today till Savannah clued me in, Edmonton and Vancouver are starting on Wednesday. And it's like, well, they've been done.
So it's a concert.
That's why.
That was the reason. Good to know. That's good knowledge there. But how about that? I mean, we talk about it with the NFL where how much preparation time goes into each opponent each week. And here you got an NHL team. They just played a Sunday night, Game 7. Fortunately, these are at home. They don't have to travel for their first playoff game in the second round. But they literally are coming back today. They're handed they probably got their scouting report when they left the building last night. And then they're coming in for one day today, and then they got to play a game tomorrow, Game 1 of the series. And this after an emotional, euphoric Game 7 on Sunday night where they avenged their playoff loss a year ago against the defending Stanley Cup champs, and then they could come back and play 2 days later.
It's tough. It really is
tough.
So
don't have too much hope for
Game 1.
Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, because it was a huge, emotional, electric thing. I don't think I've seen the AAC popping like that.
It was the loudest I have ever heard that arena.
And after basically the handshake line, all the questions then turned to Colorado. He can't even celebrate.
It's that quick. It's crazy.
All right. Mickey told us the rookie that he's looking forward to seeing at rookie mini camp and beyond on this from this Cowboys draft, and that's Cooper Beebe, the 3rd-round pick out of Kansas State. Savannah, do you have one that you would like to throw out there?
I do. I'm actually very excited to talk to the 2nd-round pick, Marshawn Kneeland, our new edge, which I think he is a very big possibility that it's a DeMarcus Lawrence 2.0 that we have on our hands. So really excited to talk to him, obviously working in that position group and just being able to get that leadership from DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm interested to kind of talk to him about that, but also his time at Western Michigan and, just that excitement coming in here to be a Cowboy and playing on our defense under Zimmer.
I went back and looked at a couple big boards, and I don't know if there's a big board in the big green notebook, but one had him ranked as the 39th top player in the draft, and another had him the 32nd. Mm-hmm. And so the Cowboys got him at
56.
56.
Yep.
So a lot of people thought a lot of this guy.
He was a senior captain at Western Michigan, 110 tackles in his senior season, 15 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and 20 catches for 330 yards and 5 touchdown grabs on offense. So,
whoa, what?
Yeah.
I got to see that.
Second paragraph on the bottom.
Kneeland, the thing about him, he didn't have very good stats, and those are you're talking his high school stats there, right?
Captain.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing about Kneeland is his stats in college were one negative that people would cite. I want a guy that has more sacks, and we talked about that where. In the college game, they get the ball out so quickly that a lot of times it's. I think you look at more quarterback pressures than you do sacks as to whether a guy's effective or not. Case in point, Tyler Guyton. Okay, he gave up no sacks at Oklahoma last year as a right tackle, and Mickey's favorite service, Pro Football Focus, graded him with like a 59 grade on his pass protection. Well, he gave up no sacks, but he did give up a number of quarterback pressures. But college quarterbacks and college offenses with the RPOs and so forth, they get the ball out so quickly that it's very difficult to come up with a sack, an actual sack. Now, you can affect a play, but and they don't to the point that it's not even an official statistic in college football stats, like it is in the NFL. It's basically done just by each school.
Well, play the run. And I think that's one of his strengths.
And that's Savannah, what you point out about him being DeMarcus Lawrence 2.0 is he's a guy that looks like he can play the run, and he is much more he will be hopefully DeMarcus plays a number more years, but he is the heir apparent to D-Law at that left base strong side defensive end when you look at his measurables.
Which I think is good, too, because when I look at the defense, I also look at these position groups. And as far as leadership goes, you see DeMarcus Lawrence, a big leader as far as edge goes. And then you look at the linebackers. And I would say, right now you have Eric Kendricks as a leader in that department. Right now, also for, corner, you're looking at probably Diggs in that area. So a lot of leaders. So it's interesting to see how these rookies come in and they get to follow some of that leadership and then, see if there's something there for them as they grow into their career in the NFL.
So what's the big green notebook say?
About Nealon?
No. Your fave.
Yeah,
I'm just intrigued by Guyton because of what the Cowboys scouts, how they feel about Guyton and his potential. And I think that's the biggest thing about it. We were sitting here on NFL Network during the break. We're watching, they're showing the Rams-Lions playoff game. And I look up and I see Aiden Hutchinson put this move on the left tackle for the Rams, number 77. I'm going, who the heck is that playing left tackle for the Rams? And had to look it up. It's Alaric Jackson, who is a college free agent, and he's the starting left tackle. And the Rams did nothing in the draft as far as shoring up their left tackle. Of course, they had Andrew Whitworth, who when they won the Super Bowl, was 40 years old, playing left tackle, and multiple-time Pro Bowler at that position. They've done nothing to improve that position, and still got into the playoffs last year. And so I'm thinking, even in the NFL these days, it's a different game than what it was even a decade ago, where you can have a guy. And I think this may be into the Cowboys' thinking when you have Guyton and other left tackles who have those traits, the long arms, the length that Guyton has, that you can coach them into being not just a serviceable left tackle, but one who can excel in this league. Because you do get the ball out quicker, even in the NFL, than what you did in years past. There's different things that they can do offensively to help them out as well. But I think that's the most intriguing thing about this draft, because of the expectations that they have for Tyler Guyton. He's got to the pressure is on him to come in here and earn a starting position at left tackle right off the bat.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if there's actual competition there. I was talking to Nate in Frisco, and he was like, so what happened to Awesome Richards? Talking about young guy.
Of course, was a fifth-round draft pick.
He was a fifth-round pick, and he kind of played some guard. He played some tackle, didn't really play in the games. And so it'd be interesting, because I don't think they're just going to automatically hand the job to Guyton. They want him to win it.
What did they do with Travis Frederick when he was a first-round draft pick coming in here? I want to say he went right in there.
He was
the
starter.
First OTA workouts of the spring, and he was a first-round draft pick.
But there was nobody to compete with. If you remember where the offensive line was in 2012, and I remember this distinctly, Jason Garrett telling me why they took a center. He said, for the last 2 years, my centers were in the quarterback lap when we were run blocking. So center was a huge need for the Cowboys at that time.
And then, okay, so Nathan Frisco asked about Awesome Richards. What about Matt Waletzko?
Yeah.
Who was a fifth-round draft pick 2 years ago.
If he could stay healthy.
And that's the issue with him.
And see if he can
And see,
compete.
Waletzko, okay, Waletzko actually has, when you just look at his length, his measurables there, he is right there with Tyler Guyton as a left tackle prospect at 6'7.5", 312 pounds, and 36-inch arms. Okay, Guyton 6'8", 322, and he's got 34-inch arms. His arms are actually longer than Guyton's arms. The problem with Matt Waletzko that he's had even when he came in here as a rookie is the shoulder.
Yep.
And your best ability is your availability.
And just to look at what Mike McCarthy said after the draft, that there's going to be competition. He pointed that out about the center position with Brock Hoffman. He pointed out that there'll be good competition there, and I guarantee you, Brock Hoffman, who brings his lunch pail to work every day, is not going to just roll over and give the starting center job to the rookie. So it'll be interesting to see how all that unfolds. One other guy that I talked to some people within the scouting department, staff, whatever. One pick they were really, really interested in is Kalen Carson, the cornerback. That he was a guy, I don't think. They drafted him in the 5th round, but I think he had a third round grade on him.
He was projected to go 3rd round, according to NFL.com.
Okay.
So that's good there. And him getting in the work with Al Harris and that group.
Yeah. And
it's going to fit in great.
It sounds like he's an either or, that he can play outside, but he can also play inside, and he's pretty physical cornerback, which you need if you're playing in the slot, because at times you're going to have to be forced to tackle. And so it'd be interesting to see how he fits in.
I've got a trivia question for you. You mentioned who was playing center before Travis Frederick, and he always seemed to be in the quarterback's lap, according to Jason Garrett. Okay, can you name who that center was, who was the Cowboys starting center in 2012? Frederick was a first-round pick, 32 overall in 2013.
He got to the team as an undrafted free agent.
But actually, 2012 season, who was the starting center for the Cowboys? Now, you may be thinking of Phil Costa, who started 3 games. Okay, he was a guard/center, and he was an undrafted player out of Maryland. Okay, but the guy who started 11 games at center was a 2nd-round draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings in 2006 out of New Mexico, and I have no memory of him being on this Cowboys team. Ryan Cook. Do you have any memory of Ryan Cook?
Because Costa probably did it in 2012. Ryan Cook.
Well, this is 2012. He was Costa started 3 games.
Maybe it was 2011.
So Costa started 3 games. Ryan Cook started 11 games at center for the Cowboys in 2012. And I sat here and looked at it and went, Ryan Cook. I thought I was looking at the wrong roster. I was looking at the Minnesota Viking roster. I do not remember Ryan Cook playing for the Cowboys.
Not at all.
No, at all.
I remember Costa.
Yeah.
And he was undersized, too.
Mm-hmm. Just speaking of the center position, I actually want to look at another team right now.
Okay.
With not necessarily the same similar situation to the Cowboys, but I want to talk about the Eagles for a second, because here you have Jason Kelce retiring. And so I was looking at the Eagles depth chart and their picks in the draft this year. They did not pick a center, which I was a little surprised by. They did get an offensive lineman, and an offensive guard. Those were both. It was a 5th-round pick, Trevor Keegan from Michigan, for a guard, and then in round 6, Dylan McMahon from North Carolina State. So I was kind of taking a look at their depth chart. Right now they have slotted in Cam Jurgens, who was a 2nd-round pick for them in the 2022 draft. But when you look at it, you have Jason Kelsey, who is that primary center position for the Eagles. And now you kind of have a guy that, when you take a look at it, Cam Jurgens didn't have a lot of playing time, considering Jason Kelsey was there. So you have, not the highest amount of depth at the center position for the Eagles, and here you have Brock Hoffman. So a little bit similar of a situation as far as looking at those centers.
You mean other teams lose players too? I thought it was just the Cowboys.
Now Cam Jurgens started 11 games last year at guard.
I was going to say
for the Eagles.
Guard.
And when they drafted Cam Jurgens, and this is why you have to. It's not about the draft. Is not about this season. It's about the next 4 seasons. Mm-hmm. You have to anticipate, okay, who's going to, and that's what the Cowboys do in the draft. They're, a lot of the outsiders are saying, well, we got to get a left tackle. We got to get whatever position it might be, because Tyron left in free agency, mm-hmm. or we got to get a center because Biotish left in free agency. But you're looking more at, okay, you're anticipating. They anticipated 2 years ago that Kelsey might retire last year. Mm-hmm. So they drafted Cam Jurgens in the 2nd round out of Nebraska 2 years ago. He did not start. He was a backup. And that's usually the way it works with anyone that's not a first-round pick, is you're going to be a backup at least for a little while. Mm-hmm. And so it actually worked out for the Eagles, where Kelsey went ahead and played well, didn't miss games. And so Jurgens was able to get a year under his belt as a backup. And then he filled in when they had an injury at guard this year, made 11 starts. And now the reason they didn't draft a center is because they feel like Jurgens is that, and he has been
position.
He has been groomed to be the Kelsey replacement at center the last couple of years. So it's a great point, because that is, I was thinking the same thing with Philadelphia, that they might take a center even in the 1st round. Mm-hmm. But what told you, in fact, let's see what the Eagles did.
I have their
They went with a cornerback in the 1st round, Quinyon Mitchell, and then another cornerback in the 2nd round, Cooper DeJean.
I hear he's
and then an edge rusher also in the 2nd round, Jalix Hunt. When they did not take a center until the late rounds, that told you they believe in Cam Jurgens. Mm-hmm. And so what would have, because the jury's still out even on Cam Jurgens, even though they picked him 2 years ago to be the heir apparent. Okay, now they got him in-house and they see him for 2 years, and that shows you that they believe in Jurgens, that he can be the replacement for Kelsey.
So who takes his place at guard?
Exactly.
Well, last year they drafted in the 3rd round, Tyler Steen out of Alabama, and he, as far as I can tell, is projected to be the starter at right guard for them.
So
the other thing that they did to fortify their interior offensive line is, in free agency, they signed Matt Hennessy out of Atlanta, and who was a center in college too. So they got that as a backup plan too.
So other teams have guys they draft that don't start immediately?
That's exactly right. That's right.
Just ask.
Just had to point it out there.
Ideally, that's what you want. Ideally, you want your rookies not to have to start immediately. And that's one of the things where the Cowboys and the Eagles, for that matter, are in that position themselves because of how much money they're having to pay the quarterback and other positions, wide receiver, 2 wide receivers in their case. You have to have guys, when you're in this position, you have to have your rookies or your second-year players step up, and that's what the Cowboys are banking on from last year's draft.
And if you think about it, I think Mike McCarthy has made mention of this. It's like, okay, you had a draft class, the guys we took, but we had a team good enough to go 12-5, so some of these guys had to wait their turn. What if, and I don't know, it could have been disaster. If there's no Jonathan Hankins, that Mozzie Smith would have had to play because, they didn't have another, choice.
And to the
Same
point,
thing with Schoonmaker. Jason Ferguson, which, by the way, next segment, we need to get into what we learned about people at the Home Run Derby on Wednesday.
okay. let's do it.
But again, there's somebody ahead of you. If you have a good team, these guys don't just automatically earn starting jobs.
And here's the key on Guyton. It's going to be how quickly that he picks things up when he comes in here. Yes, the expectation is that he will be your starting left tackle. But to Mickey's point, the Cowboys do have other options here. And when Tyler Guyton walks in the door for the first time this Friday, and more importantly, when he joins the veteran workouts next week, there are going to be other offensive linemen who have been in this league, including Matt Waletzko, even including Awesome Richards last year, who are, if they had to play a game Memorial Day weekend, those guys are going to start ahead of Tyler Guyton, obviously. And so it's going to be how quickly can Guyton pick things up where he gains the confidence of and we saw what Travis Frederick was like coming in here. He had loads of experience in a very good offense at Wisconsin, known for its offensive linemen, where they felt very comfortable that, this guy can handle it. Didn't matter who was on campus already there. Another great example of it that you're going to see with the quarterbacks that were drafted early in this draft. Let's take, for instance, Drake May at New England. They got Jacoby Brissett there. Jacoby Brissett is a better NFL quarterback right now than Drake May is. I mean, in probably 3 months from now, Jacoby Brissett is going to be a quarterback who is better suited to win football games for New England than Drake May is in September. Now, they've got to make a decision. Is it more important to, where is Drake May in his development? Even Minnesota. Minnesota's got J.J. McCarthy there. And they also have Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been in the league. He knows what's going on. They are going to be, with Sam Darnold in September starting at quarterback, they have a better chance of winning games than where J.J. McCarthy likely will be. But they may go with J.J. McCarthy because of the investment in him and with what the future holds with him. And they take their lumps in the meantime.
Want to break up Atlanta?
And obviously Atlanta has, So anyway, all right, home run derby time when we come back here on Mix Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would never ask for your social security number on the phone? Beat scammers at their own game by subscribing to AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts and texts. At aarp.org/beatscammerstx, you can sign up to receive information that helps you recognize and avoid the latest scams. That's aarp.org/beatscammerstx.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Register now for the 2024 Dallas Cowboys Youth Football and Dance Camps presented by Invisalign. Athletes of all skill levels, ages 6 to 16, are invited to learn from the best this summer at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Register for 2 or 3-day camps before May 17th to save $25. Visit DallasCowboys.com/camps.
Jason Whitten's sons, Cooper and C.J. Whitten, state champions once again at Liberty Christian.
Baseball?
The TAPS state track meet.
Look at that.
And they were on 2 state championship winning relay teams.
Got some speed.
They do.
Pretty cool.
There's a great picture. I actually reposted the picture of I don't know, Cooper was handing off to CJ or vice versa on the relay, and they've got this look of determination as they're passing the baton to each other as they're running in one of the relays. And so I posted that picture, and then Jason with his helmet off running against Philadelphia, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My question is, do you think Jason Whitten ever won a sprint relay championship?
I'm thinking maybe
in
those
Tennessee?
genes came from Mama.
There you go. I'm sure.
I'm telling you, those kids though, they got some Jason Whitten intensity about them. I did a story on them last fall, and those kids, one's going to be a senior and the other's going to be a sophomore. So they won state Class 5A private school in Texas in the fall. They move up to Class 6A this year, so the level of competition is going to be greater. But
You said Liberty Christian?
Liberty Christian in Argyle, which is near Denton, for those who don't live in the area. Anyway, if I'm a college coach, I'm looking at these Whitten boys, and I want those guys in my program. I'm just telling you.
So he's got 3 more years as the head coach.
I would think. I mean, probably.
Then we'll see.
Yeah, and he's had opportunities. I
Yeah.
mean, colleges have called him, and but he wants to coach his kids, and so the oldest is going to be a senior this year, and then the other boy is going to be. They've got a couple of girls too, I think. Anyway, so
Very cool.
Tony Romo was at the game last night with his boys.
yeah,
He was.
And I think, well, I'm not sure. I thought one person they showed looked like Brian Anger, but I'm not.
which leads us to the home run derby,
Yes,
the
it
Reliant
does,
Home
doesn't
Run
it?
Derby,
There you
which
go.
took place on Wednesday at Riders Field here in Frisco, Texas, and a lot of money was raised for the Salvation Army once again.
$145,000. Well, 104 for the Salvation Army, and then the media portion of it that was held.
How'd you do in the
Gravy
media
Fly.
portion,
They
Mickey?
didn't invite me back. I raised some, maybe 3.
How does that work?
Years ago. You got to hit the ball out of the infield on a fly, and you
In
earn
the
money.
media portion or in the
Both
players too?
Both. As long
Okay.
as you get the ball out of the infield, you get something, and then if you hit the
temporary fencing
fence,
that's out in the
that's
middle of the outfield.
That's a home run.
Yeah.
But as for Ferguson,
Okay, Jake Ferguson.
he was hitting real home runs.
Was he really?
As a matter of fact,
You got to get more
Doesn't
points
surprise
for
me
a
at all.
real home run.
Right.
Right?
more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Oh, okay.
And
Producer
as a matter
Supreme
of
here
fact,
to save the day.
a couple times, I don't know if you've been to Rough Rider Stadium or whatever they call it.
I think it's Riders Field
Riders
right now.
Field.
They're looking for a sponsor, Mickey, if you're interested.
In left field, the division between, there's not really a grandstand, but there's
We understand.
a
Go
hill
ahead.
like,
Yeah.
and the street is a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
He was hitting them into the trees. Like
How many
almost
do you think he hit?
out of the park? How
How come he didn't win the whole thing then?
Who won the whole
probably
thing?
didn't have enough singles.
Who won the whole
Brian
thing?
Anger
Brian
did.
Anger did.
They
And
let,
Good
they
for-
let,
good
they let
for
the
him.
punter win the thing.
Good
but you know what?
for Brian
I
Anger.
think he went park.
So
a
this is
couple
like
times.
Josh Hamilton in the home run derby at Yankee Stadium. Josh Hamilton in 2010 or whatever year it was, home run derby at Yankee Stadium, put on the most awesome performance you could ever put on, and yet he didn't win it.
Because there was rounds, right?
Right.
He wore himself out.
So Jake Ferguson was Josh Hamilton
with distance.
Yeah.
But Anger, I think, might have put one or two out. And I think it was guys that have, like, leverage, like he's kind of tall and long arms. He was just knocking the snot out of the ball, and I think he said the last time.
That's why those guys get recruited.
Right?
Because guys with short arms don't get drafted.
I heard Zeke was there, too.
Zeke
Yes.
participated. He was a replacement. Somebody couldn't make it, and Zeke volunteered, and he hit a bunch over the temporary fence. He was smacking the ball. It was amazing. But yeah, Anger and Ferguson were pretty impressive. So we learned something about those guys as athletes, which is always really important. Also,
so if you were recruiting just off the home run derby, you would Jake Ferguson
athlete,
would be your first round draft pick.
I bet he played.
Okay.
I bet he played basketball. Probably fouled out a bunch in high school. But Brandon Cooks, I was surprised.
I want him running the bases for me.
I was surprised at how well he hit too. By the way, so it was interesting. We also were able, and I don't know if we talked about this. Savannah, on her vacation, ran into Brandon Aubrey skiing. He wasn't skiing.
No, he was not.
But he was out because he had an appendicitis. And so he's kind of not doing much kicking right now. He's still kind of recovering from that.
That's the second case of appendicitis we've heard on this team outside of Coach McCarthy in recent months.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Mike's appendicitis. So he had to have surgery. So he probably needed this. If you think about how much he kicked between the XFL, it was XFL? USFL, and the Cowboys season. I mean, he kicked from February to January.
There's no time in between.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the USFL because, as we talked earlier in the show, there aren't a lot of fans watching these UFL games, now the merger of the XFL and the USFL. However, I think there are Cowboys coaches or scouts that are watching these games.
Keeping an eye on them?
Keep in mind, 2 years ago, this is a homework assignment for you. If you can stomach it, Mickey, okay, to watch these games, keep in mind 2 years ago, who did the Cowboys get out of the USFL? They got a Pro Bowler in Cavante Turpin. Last year, they got a Pro Bowler out of Brandon Aubrey out of the USFL. So they had a need 2 years ago. They certainly had a need at kicker last year. This time last year, we were going, who in the world's going to kick for the? We were to 4th of July, and we were like, who's going to kick for this team? And then finally, they signed this kicker out of the USFL. So what position might they be scouting this year to try to find that they haven't filled in free agency, but they're going to sign someone out of this UFL? What group would you think it might be?
Running back?
Okay.
Wide receiver?
They really haven't replaced Stephon Gilmore at cornerback either, have they?
Oh, no, they have not.
All right, so there's three positions. Edge rusher?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I watch those, by the way. Don't tell me.
Wait, the game?
So
if
has anyone popped out at you? Did Brandon Aubrey catch your eye last year?
I had no idea.
Now, Cavante Turpin certainly did the year before because we had some product knowledge, as Parcells would put it, because he had played at TCU.
I told you how Brandon Aubrey caught my eye. I get a text from Chris Boniel, who was the special teams coach in Birmingham, And he goes,
that's right.
"Oh, you got my guy." And I was like, "Who?" And he was like, "This kid is really good."
Keep in mind the Cowboys also have a direct line to the talent in that league because Daryl Johnston is in charge of the personnel.
Well, the one thing I've noticed is Michigan's on every week.
Okay.
They're always on TV. You know the head coaches?
For the Michigan Panthers?
Yeah.
No.
Mike Nolan.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Does he wear a suit on the sideline?
Yeah, no. That's a good one. That is a good one. Also, going back to the home run derby, I don't know if we said Anger had 17 home runs.
Yeah.
21,000 he raised. Eric Kendricks is going to be a very good addition to this team, not only from a talent standpoint and experience, but he likes to talk.
Oh, good.
How about that?
Yeah, we love that.
We got to have guys like that helping us out, right?
Yeah.
Seems like a really, really good guy. And he was asked about why he switched. He was somewhat committed to go to San Francisco and then signed with the Cowboys. His quote was, "I feel I've got a lot to give, and I want to be here with Mike," meaning Mike Zimmer. I think they were looking for depth at middle linebacker, and he saw this was an opportunity to actually start and get on the field. He's getting up in years, so no time to sit back right now. So I was pretty impressed with him.
Well, rookie minicamp.
Here we come. And so we'll have the review next week. And so no Monday show.
Yeah. What did we tell Chris? Wednesday or
Wednesday
Thursday?
at
It's
10
going to be
a.m. next week.
Wednesday,
Okay.
10 a.m. is the next edition of Mick Shots. And that will provide the opportunity for Everson Walls to be back.
Yes, because if it was Monday, he was out again on another golf outing.
Okay. All right, so we will chat at you again, and the Mavericks and Stars will be moving on to the third round of the playoffs by the time we get back together after they sweep the second round series. Next Wednesday, 10 a.m. for Mick Shots, or 11 a.m. 10 a.m. for Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!